everybody, Lisa here, Vera Bradley, Bag of the Day. Today I wanted to talk about the bag I used today, but it also sort of leads to some other things to talk about. But the bag I used today was, again, the reversible tote, which I just talked about in my previous video. I was raving about it because I have just sort of discovered it recently, and I feel like it's my favorite bag style. Vera Bradley bag style. Let's see if I can get the camera a little bit better. I think I may have actually worked on my lighting a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. But I feel like I've got a little bit more light to show off the linings a little bit better. And this fabric is Imperial Toile, and I have, I think, kind of a fondness for toile prints. I always have. I had a dress that I had gotten from one of my aunts, and it was a dress she wore when she was in her teens. So, you know, it was very retro, and it was a red and white toile print, and I wore that thing to death in high school myself. So this pattern, which I think was 2009, this was just bound to sort of call out to me. And I was looking at it online. I got this on eBay. And one of the great things actually about getting stuff, whether it's new stuff or retired stuff, online, is that most of the time, I mean, there are some exceptions. There are a couple of people, you know, you see listings where they say they have more than one of an item, and so you're looking at some kind of stock photo. I mean, even if people aren't up front and they don't say that, you can sort of tell from the photograph that it's a stock photo. And so those are not the cases I'm talking about. Most of the time, you're looking at the actual item, and so you can you can pick pattern placement that way. Because there were a bunch of these reversible totes in Imperial Toile that I was looking at and sort of, you know, bookmarking them, keeping my eye on them, and comparing the pattern placement on them. And there were some that I thought were pretty good, but when I saw this one, I just knew this was the one. Because most of them, I was looking for this section, the palace part, right? I mean, that's the whole point of this pattern, is Imperial Toile. So you want that structure in there, the palace in there with the bridge. And I would see ones that had this on one side, and okay, it was in an okay spot. And I saw this, and then they showed the other side, which I feel like all good, reputable, responsible retailers who are trying to sell Vera on these websites should do. I mean, if they're not showing you the back of a bag, every side of the bag, I don't even bother looking at that listing for very long. I just move on, no matter how good that one side that they're showing is. People who know you got to show the whole bag. Peaches, I really would appreciate you not getting all up in everything, okay? Calm down, please. Calm down, please. So I turned the bag, when I turned to the photo with the back of the bag, or the other side of the bag, I saw it had, you know, the same, always all reversed, had the same placement of the palace. So the on the on the other side, and I thought, well, okay, it's rare to begin with that you get. I have one or two bags. This is one of them. I have another bag where I've gotten almost the exact same placement of the pattern on the front and the back. It's very rare to me that happens. So I saw this. So I bookmarked it, and it had a time limit on it, a couple of days. I mean, listing was going to expire, and I think it had a bidding option and a buy it now. And the difference between the minimum bid that they were asking for and the buy it now was a really small amount, maybe $5 or something. So I said, oh, the hell with it, I'll just buy it, because I didn't want to risk someone else coming in and buying it. This was the pattern placement that I wanted. I just feel like I wasn't going to get anything that satisfied me more with the, and there's the structure there too on the side, but with the full structure in good position on both sides. So it wasn't that expensive. I mean, I think 23 or something. I mean, like the minimum bid they were looking for was like $18.99 or something. So opening bid. So it was reasonably priced, I felt like. And just to show what I can get in here again, just sort of, oh, here. I feel like I might have gotten just a little bit better light there. I actually do have my GPS pouch in here today. I didn't have it in the other video. And so it's still fitting, and the magnet still closes. So the pouch, iPod mini, all-in-one crossbody as a wallet, a chunky wallet, my phone, and iPod. This is the interior. Let's see if I can get a little bit better. Always had trouble there. One day I'll get it together. And sort of see that. There we go. The interior pattern. Again, I don't know that I would turn this inside out. Let's go ahead and do it, but so people can see. I don't think this is one I would turn inside out and use, like I was saying in my other video. I would pick and choose that probably pretty carefully, because I don't think most of them can do it without really looking like they really are on the wrong side. And I think this does look like it's on the wrong side, but that's just me. Anyway, I just love this. Love it that it sits up so nice and high, or the shorter strap drop. But what I really wanted to talk about with this bag was, I don't really want to focus on the stylus that much. That's my other video. I'll just be repeating myself even more than I already probably do. But what I like about this pattern, aside from the fact that it's toile, and I just love toile, and I feel like Vera Bradley could definitely stand to do another toile print, is that this, even though this is a very busy, in a way, pattern, it really functions as a neutral, and that's kind of what I thought I would do, is just pull it out. It made me think about that and this sitting in a tree that I had featured in my other video on the Gabby bag. Started me thinking about how certain patterns really, even though they're patterns, they do work as neutrals, and I feel like this is one of them, because there's maybe it's because it's just that one color with the white, but I think this is one that really works well as a neutral, functions as a neutral. This is, again, sitting in a tree. Oh, gosh, I can't even, I want to say 2010 for this, but you'd have to check me. And I think this, like I talked about in the video for this bag, I think this also functions well as a neutral, because the color scheme, the colors in the palette are so similar in value and in hue, but they just sort of blend very well. They create it's a very subtle pattern, and I think this works really well. And again, that background is sort of a beigey kind of neutral, so it just lends itself to that. Another one I think works that way, all the way over there, because of my dogs. This is one that, even though at first might seem kind of busy, right? This is Camellia. I always want to say Camilla. Yes, Camellia. And this is a Laura bag, a style bag. I got this new with tags on eBay. It was a good deal. I feel like, I want to say like 27 or something. It wasn't a bad price. I think because the flowers are so large, and if I can get this real close, it's sort of monochromatic, but in the center, this is a good flower to sort of see it in. You can almost make out, in the center of the flowers, there's sort of this beige tint behind the black lines. So you've got the white and the gray. Sorry. The white, the gray, and the black is all kind of, again, working to make a neutral. And I think that because the flowers are so big, there's so much white in the bag. But the black and the gray kind of become sort of subordinate to the white. So it really does kind of become this neutral. You can see if I can get even closer with it. You can maybe see I don't know if you can see the beige. It's definitely, in the pattern archive on the Vera Bradley website. If you look under the retired pattern page, it's there, and you can get a good look at the swatch. I also just love that coordinating the leaves on the bottom. But I think this works really well as a neutral. And the last one that came to mind was this, which is more recent. I think this is last year, right? Charcoal medallions. So it is, if you get in there real close, it can look busy, like there's a lot going on. But it's really, again, the colors are so similar. The values are basically similar. And so it does kind of all sort of blend together softly. So I feel like this is a good neutral too. This is the Bright Tote, which I should probably do a video on one day. It's humongous, obviously. I can wear it as a top. But I do love the Bright Tote, and I have all three of them, so the 3 different patterns it came in, so I should do a video about it. And I pulled this out of my closet instead of the Carson Hobo, which I have it in also, this pattern, because I just wanted to be able to get the biggest amount of fabric up there for people to see. Yeah, but I really do think it works well as a neutral. One other thing I do want to talk about, because this just came the other day and I washed it, and since I'm on this sort of blue Rhapsody high from my last video, I thought I would just show this for people when they wanted to drool over blue Rhapsody a little bit more. And it also kind of relates to what I was saying about this, where when you're buying anything on eBay or Poshmark or whatever, and you're looking at that specific item that you're going to buy, it can really, it's really to your advantage in a way, because you can pick the pattern placement, right? And so I saw this. They were, I have seen, in looking around, this wasn't the first Gabby in Blue Rhapsody that I came across. But I waited because, for one reason or another, maybe the condition wasn't right, wasn't in good enough condition, or like the pattern placement, or there were stains, or something like that. But when I saw this one, I said, okay, this one I like. And I really thought that the pattern was placed well for the style bag. You got the side pockets, right, the east-west side pockets, but then in the center here, this part of the pattern is really taking up the space nicely. This is sort of like this T shape, right, across and down of the fabric that doesn't have the pockets on it. And so I just felt like this sort of swatch of pattern here really filled up that shape well. And the same thing on the back. When I saw this, I thought, wow, those bigger flowers, these bigger flowers here are really just perfect for that shape. And even this one up here, they're using up, there isn't a lot of like dead space in that shape that in between the 2 pockets. So that made me go for this particular Gabby in Blue Rhapsody. So I just thought I would show it. And something else, which is just typical, I'm finding, when you're buying on eBay or Poshmark, and I tend to buy more on eBay, I take everything with a grain of salt. And most of the time when something has been touted as new with tags, I felt like it pretty much was. But excellent used condition and good used condition or very good used condition, I feel that people are playing a little fast and loose with those terms. This one was, I think they may have said very good or excellent, and it was in good condition. But they did say that it had a base, and it did have a base, but it didn't have the original base. Someone had shoved 3 pieces of cardboard into that base area, 3 like ratty pieces of cardboard that, came from a cardboard box, and just like pulling them out like I'm pulling out, clowns from a clown car, one after the other. They just crammed them all in there. And that kind of irritated me. But I just feel like, that's kind of how what you have to sort of put up with when you buy stuff this way. You just sort of not get too excited about something until it shows up and you actually see what you're getting. And so I'm trying to have that be the attitude. So what I did was I just threw those pieces of cardboard out because, I don't know, they just icked me out. They were just icky. It's okay, I'll use styrofoam board. Now I talked about that in my Laura video with the floral nightingale pattern. And I had gotten some styrofoam board from my dad, and I cut a piece for that bag for the base. So I did the same thing here. I took out the base from the Gabby, and I just used that as a template, and I cut out of styrofoam board. This is just a little piece of scrap, but I thought I would hold it up real close for anyone who's not really familiar with what styrofoam board is, because it works really well. It does. You can sort of crack the exterior paper a little bit, but that doesn't affect the effectiveness of it when it's in the when it's slipped into the base. So it's just like a little bit of styrofoam in between some like paper that feels like maybe it's the weight of oak tag. It's just something that my dad has a lot of, so he gave me a big sheet of it. So that's what I used in here, and it worked just fine. It's fine now, and I've used it as fine in the Laura. I've carried the Laura around. I haven't actually used this outside yet, but I know it'll be fine because it was fine in the Laura, and the Laura it supports all the stuff that I need to put in there. But anyway, this is the Blue Rhapsody Gabby, and I'll just have to show it because it's just so just so pretty. I just love this. It's taking all my willpower not to just order every bag style I like in that pattern right now. And I just get it real close again with this one because it's just so romantic, this sort of Asian subject matter, that pretty palace and the bridge, and then all the different foliage around it. I even get the steeple or the point at the top of the palace, is there. On this side, sort of, gets a little lost in the gather of the bag. But I still felt like this placement on this side was just, good, and it was good enough. Still very good to have be both sides with the structure like that. It's just, I knew I wasn't going to beat that probably. So, and as soon as I ordered it, I felt very good. Okay, I think I might as well put everything back in here. But that was just a short one today, just talking about thoughts on the different patterns after I was using this for the day and thinking about all the different things about this made me think of, like pattern placement and whether it's a neutral or not. That's everything. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for watching.